Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca. Talking wind, Dan.
Oh boy, we sure are there, Phil. And the wind coming from a weather system as it's digging deeply down along the west coast. This area of low pressure moving into the Great Basin right now, and along with it some very dry air. The wind has been really blowing today. We saw some of those peak wind gusts in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, and even close to 50 miles per hour along the Big Sur coast today. Now the air also very dry with this, especially inland near the coast. We still have relatively higher humidities, especially Monterey, where the wind is coming in from the north right off the water. But inland areas in the 20s to 30 percentile range for the humidity, the relative humidity. So that is very dry air. And it's because of that that we're continuing to see those red flag warnings in place. And they will stay in place until 5 o'clock tomorrow. The dry air will remain in place. The wind is going to keep going in the hills, although we'll see it calm down in the valleys overnight. But that includes the Santa Cruz Mountains, the mountains of Monterey and San Benito counties, and also the Diablo Range in Santa Clara County. And again, this lasts until 5 o'clock tomorrow. Fires at the start will spread rapidly. That is going to be an issue due to not just the wind and the dry air, but also the dry vegetation out there as well, as we just really haven't seen any rain recently across the region. The other story will be temperatures as we head into the overnight. At the moment, feeling kind of cool out there. Only 57 degrees in Monterey with the wind off the water. It is 66 in Santa Cruz, and then areas inland are in the 50s and 60s for the most part. These are some pretty cool readings out there, and it is going to be a chilly night tonight, especially where the wind dies down. The wind's going to keep going in the hills, but in the valley bottoms, without that wind mixing down into the valleys, the cool air will be allowed to pool up. And when cooled air pools up, it tends to just keep getting colder, and that is going to be the case, I think, for many locations. And we're probably going to see some frost in a few areas, and that is led to a frost advisory in the southern valleys of Monterey County. This is from the National Weather Service. It includes the southern Salinas Valley, Arroyo Seco, and the San Antonio Valley. These areas expected to get down into the low 30s and maybe even upper 20s overnight. So we're not expecting a hard freeze by any means, like we're not expecting hours in the 20s or anything, but enough that some frost could damage very sensitive plants. So now's the time to make those precautions, or take those precautions, and make sure your plants are safe. Now the winds, as I mentioned, dying down in the valleys overnight, but they're going to keep going in the hills. We'll see some of those higher colors that seem to be oriented with the mountain ranges across the region as we head through the overnight hours into the day tomorrow. So expect those winds to keep on going up in the hills, and that's again going to keep that fire danger high. Down low, we'll get a break overnight, but tomorrow afternoon the winds will pick up once again in the valleys. They will not be as strong as they were today, but they will still be blustery really throughout the day tomorrow before finally starting to die down tomorrow night. So we're not out of the woods just yet as far as the wind is concerned. But as I mentioned, in the valleys overnight, the winds will calm down and it's going to get cold. That includes the Santa Cruz Mountain valleys. I've got you in the 30s, in fact, low 30s in Felton overnight. You're down to 38 in Scotts Valley. Highs back in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees for many locations, and we should get to the low 70s in Santa Cruz tomorrow. We're in the 30s overnight in Watsonville and San Juan Bautista, Gilroy, Morgan Hill. Highs back in the upper 60s to low 70s tomorrow. Salinas, you top out at 67. Over to the Monterey Peninsula, high temperatures also in the 60s tomorrow. Maybe just a touch warmer than today, but not much. And your lows overnight in the mid 40s for the most part. Down south, this is where we'll see some of the colder morning lows, including 30 in the San Antonio Valley and Parkfield. Bradley, you could get colder. If the winds die down in Bradley, I could see you getting down to maybe 29 overnight, but I do forecast the winds just to keep going just enough to keep you right close to or above freezing. Same in King City. It could be a pretty chilly night if those winds completely calm down, but I've got you in the low 30s. Best to be safe than sorry when you're covering those sensitive plants. Your highs tomorrow will return into the upper 60s to low 70s. Now, as for the next 7 days, we'll continue to see some wind on Wednesday and Thursday. Now, here's something interesting. Another weather system is going to slide down in the wake of this first one. This one have a little moisture packed with it, though, and I actually could see a few sprinkles from it late Wednesday morning along the coasts. We'll also be cooler and cloudier on Wednesday. Then after that, it's sunnier, warmer weather all the way into the weekend. So a couple of interesting days on the coast. Now, inland areas, you'll notice that the low temperatures may even be colder on Wednesday. That's more so for the far inland areas. Santa Cruz Mountains, which I do include in the inland forecast usually, you will actually be warmer because you're more likely to see clouds Wednesday morning. But like in southern Monterey County, it's going to be a cold morning Wednesday. And then the rest of the week is a warming trend into that weekend, Phil.
Yeah, cover up your plants, but don't forget about the pets also. Four-legged friends out there.